This is an L2H2 Movano van, and we're going to convert it to a camper van. And that's for all your external lights and things, like these. Right, there's no actual step, but that's it. In there, that's a water boiler, microwave. There's your diesel heater in there. Oops. There we go. In there. That's a long cupboard in there if you want. That's on the back door. All this plastic stuff. And there's a heater outlet down there as well. There we go. First day in our new crew van and getting used to what all these different controls are that are extra there, and there's another one there for climate control front and back. That's on top of the aircon. I think I'm going to start with taking these seats out, but there's a heck of a lot to remove to start with. The diesel heater will have an exhaust pipe going through the floor somewhere, so that's kind of going to be fixed where it is. I've got to remove this and see what so presumably I've got two 210 amp batteries in there probably. We shall see. Well, that's the seat out, the first seat out. There are two of these 8mm hex bolts either side. They come out of there, and once you've done that you have to slide the whole seat backwards, because you have these hooks. You see that? These hooked brackets go underneath there, and that's a safety feature obviously, but the only thing is, because of this lip here, I ended up breaking this fiberglass, but probably I'm going to remove that anyway. Okay, so in my first day of working, I've managed to get one of the seats out. I've loosened off the second seat. I've unbolted the microwave, so that was bolted from underneath here. That was quite tricky to get out. It was plugged into this inverter at the back. I've managed to get the two units out of the back of the van through releasing various bolts through this partition wall. And these seats, I've unclipped and unbolted the seat belts. I'm pretty sure that they're connected through this Polaris system, this Ideatech Polaris, and that wiring will send a signal through to the Polaris unit there to say whether the seat belts are in or not. I did unscrew everything I could on this partition wall and it won't budge, so that's my next job after removing this seat. I've removed this checker plate trim that was at the bottom of the partition wall, and I can now see that there are 3 alloy plates, aluminium plates with screws. So looking closer, these here seem to be part of the subfloor support. So I've taken the plates off, and now I think I'm going to have to remove this wheel arch box to give me a bit of freedom to wiggle this partition wall. And another query is, I've got this torsion bar and I'm not sure if it is actually connected to the partition, but I wondered if it was actually some sort of strengthening, like I've called it a torsion bar across, to stop flexing in the walls. I don't know. I've managed to get one of the Allen bolts out, but the other one is absolutely as stiff as anything. I've almost broken my Allen key. So again, something else to investigate. And I've just noticed up there is a perfectly marked out place, perhaps for a skylight. So that's interesting. Something else of interest, I can hear the fan rotating in there, click click, but this seems to be mounting for the roof bars, so they literally come right the way through the roof. So it looks as though I could well be just keeping the roof bars. I was thinking of taking them off and selling them. And now I'm removing this panel here because that is overlapping the partition wall, so it's stopping any movement. So that's got to come off. It's probably got to come off anyway to insulate behind it and to make way for any wall lining that I'm using afterwards. Behind that plastic panel is some framing, plenty of cables. So I was seeing if I could isolate the rear cabinet there with all the electrical gubbins in it. I took off this wire here, but it was still seemed to be live in the back, although the Polaris unit there was showing chassis battery low. The next thing I've done is in this cabinet, I've not found out how to release these here, because getting this shelf out would be handy. So far I've just taken off the live and earth, and I'm about to take off these bolts which are holding the batteries down to the floor, and see if that gives any movement in the cabinet and therefore into the partition. This left hand one in particular is a pain to get at to, so a 17mm ratchet spanner is absolutely ideal for this job. I've managed to release those two bolts and withdraw the strap, and now I'll take off these battery connections there. And now under the batteries I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws which are probably down through this subfloor. And that's the length of those bolts, and it's still not wanting to budge anywhere, so something else needs detaching. The boiler, and then you've got this drip tray, so there is a hole here. Any spillage would run down through here, and all you have to do is pull this pipe up through the floor and release that. Right, I've yanked this cabinet away from the wall at the top, and looking down there are some cables stuck to the wall, so I'm thinking that might be the only thing holding it. Well, there were also some cables right behind the control panel that weren't easy to see, and they were well stuck to the wall as well. So once they were released, you can see I've managed to get it away from the wall. I can disconnect that inverter, get that off the wall, and then see where we are with detaching the partition wall next. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a quandary now because it's a real spaghetti junction down here of cables, and I'm just not sure. I don't even know what half of this stuff is here, and really on my last fan I didn't have anything anywhere near as complicated. What I'm not sure of is where do they have the relay from the vehicle battery to here. It might be a battery to battery charger. What do they call it, DC to DC or something? Can't remember, but anyway, it's probably that. Well, that torsion bar, I had already undone one screw there in the main panel, but in the smaller panel there's another one there, so I'll release that, and then the whole black metal bar at the back should be free. And actually inside this trunking storage, which runs right through the cupboard in the front compartment, I can feel up behind here another screw holding this on. Okay, because that's free now. I don't think there's any more screws that I've missed, so yeah, that is actually moving. So let's undo that screw. Well, actually, so that was the screw that was obviously not to do with the board, but that screw there was the board and into that metal bar. So I've taken that out, and I heard a clunk in the back. And success, the bar is off. That's it there. And now, well, hey, I've actually freed off the internal partition. That's the main wall. And what I may do is keep some of this panel, and that might well be the width of the bed in there, going across the way, and this big panel I may well cut off somewhere at the height of a garage, you know, with the raised bed, but that's all to be seen. So that's a good day's work. I'm pleased with that. So with that panel removed, that internal partition removed, you can see easier the subfloor we've got here, and these are the screws that I've removed so far. Still some to go. Thanks for watching, and please give a like and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next part of this Movano campervan conversion. Bye.